Hello everyone, I am PyroFalkon, and this is Monster Rancher 4. In the last episode, Cupcake won a tournament, Ash Girl won a tournament, I think someone else won a tournament, Samara maybe? Yeah, Samara. So we're doing really well, the ladies are doing well. But this week, I don't believe we have a tournament scheduled. Nope, so we need to go to the Kalaragi jungle and try to find Parzano, or whatever his name is, to fix Maserati? Anyway, some asshole. We have to... Ooh, shit. Oh, God, I swore twice. No, it's fine. Anyway, we have to find a guy in order to stop Graham's monster from being all futzed. Yeah, futz isn't a bad word. Alright, so... It's gonna be Ash Girl, Aruda, and Samara, so those three get a week off. And then Yinping, you're working on that. Cupcake, you work on your magic book. Yes, okay. Everyone's got your order. Praise and nothing. Ah, that's good. That's good. I'll take a 27 boost. Good job, Cupcake. Hell yeah, earning the opposite of your nickname. I really need more magic medallions. These medallions, man, they really make the difference. This magic book is incredible. Have an energy bar. So in the last episode, I've also decided to adjust my training regimen a bit and feed my ladies a little bit less because they're starting to get a little tubby. So we want to make sure that they slim down so they dodge most attacks. Have a cake. That'll help lower your weight. I guess if cake is the only thing you eat for a month, then maybe that will work. Aruda should be fine. Although Aruda's focus is suboptimal, but we should be fine in the who's it. In the jungle. Wow. Okay. So Ash Girl, you've got the lead, backed up by Samara and Aruda in that order. And as always, these explorations mean it's time for some AMA questions, so I need to pull that up. So, oh geez, it doesn't help me to pull it up right over my screen. Okay, wow, you would think I would have been slightly more organized than this. Okay, the first question of the day comes from Soul, who says, you might have talked about this at some point, but I don't think I've heard it. What was your first true memorable gaming experience? Who introduced you to it? How did you react to it? What did you think about it? Etc., etc. So I have two that I can give. My first gaming experience at all was with my stepmom, who had a ColecoVision. And if you've never heard of a ColecoVision, don't worry, no one else has either. ColecoVision was a very old console. They tried to compete with Atari, maybe Atari 2600 or whatever. They tried competing with them. That's how old we were talking. Early 80s. And the games weren't good. I mean, even by then standards, per se, but this ColecoVision was the first console I ever touched, and it was cool. Interactive visual art was awesome. And I remember, not precisely, but I do remember like sitting on my stepmom's lap and we played blackjack. There was a blackjack poker game, I think, and I didn't understand I didn't think I understand how poker worked, but I definitely understood how blackjack worked when I was a toddler. So that was just fun. That was a time of innocence and whatever, since I just sat on her lap playing video games, enjoying the company, etc. And that sort of got me interested in video games in general. It was just an interesting format, an interesting medium, this interactive art, interactive game you play on your television. It was new and exciting. Although I've always liked all sorts of games. I played a lot of board games too when I was a kid. But anyway, that was the first one that really did it. However, the first game experience, the sort of was practically a religious experience, was Super Mario Bros. 3. I went to a friend's house. His name was Corey. Wonder how he's doing. I haven't talked or even thought of him for like 30 years, literally. But anyway, I went to his house, and he had a Nintendo. I think I was 7 at the time? 6 or 7. And he put on Mario 3, and it was just shocking how good that game was, because I had been used to ColecoVision graphics. The very, very chunky, like 160p type of graphics. And suddenly just Mario 3 just looked amazing, played amazing, moved amazing. Mario himself was easy to control. And I didn't even get to touch the game. I can't remember if Corey was sort of like hogging the console, or we were all taking turns and I just wasn't there yet, or whatever it was. I was over at, I just had the memory unlocked. I was at his house for a sleepover, and I was blown away by the NES and Super Mario Brothers. And then that sleepover ended with me being scared and crying and calling my mom to pick me up at like 10 in the evening. I don't know why. Just sleeping in another bed just freaked me out when I was 6 or 7 or 8, because I was a very, very scared child. So, but like, even though the party sleepover, whatever, was kind of a bust, man, I remember the NES, and I will never forget the NES. How do I feel about the games? The ColecoVision was what it was, and it was fine for its time, but I played Blackjack. That doesn't mean anything. But Super Mario Bros. 3 still holds a special place in my heart because of that experience and how it was the first game that really spoke to me and to get me into video gaming. And I probably play it once every few years just to play it. I mean, I don't know. It's fun. I like most of the Mario games. So, yeah, it was good. It was a fun time. And let's see, I think after that, my mom bought me a Game Boy with Tetris, and then after that, I got a Super NES, and that sort of just... whatever Mario 3 did for me, the Super NES and Super Mario World kind of kicked into overdrive. And that started this nonsense. And then that turned into Final Fantasy VI, which kicked off everything about my later professional career. So, but I've told that story 1,000 times on this show. Finish him off, Ash Girl. Alright, the next question comes from Kalo, who... oh god, the fight's still going on. I alt-tabbed because I thought she had it there. Stupid Final Cuts. Take her out. Kalo asks, what's my goal for 2021? I don't have one, per se, beyond continuing to work on the channel, trying to make it as good as I can, just continuing to grow the business. It's the same goal I have every year. Thank you, the Akamura. Yeah, there's nothing specific. I mean, yes, I would love to snap my fingers and have a body like Stephen Amell without the effort, but such is not going to happen, so, you know. Yeah, I just want to grow the business, man, and don't want to do anything else. I'm still loving this job too much. Although, I will say, after doing YouTube for 10 years, it is starting to wear on me a little bit, as is the frustration of where I am in the hierarchy of channels, so to speak, but whatever. I'm still having fun, the channel's still growing, and as long as I remain semi-profitable and can keep this up as long as I can, I'm going to keep it up as long as I can. I mean, even with that thing that's going around being put to bed, and a lot of people no longer watching YouTube or Netflix or whatever as heavily, you know, people are going to watch YouTube, so I want to keep doing this as much as I can. Plus, it's fun. It's fun. Best job I've ever had. Next question comes to us from Luke, who says, what would you do if, hypothetically speaking, a Mochi plush were to arrive at your home as a troll gift from a channel fan. If it came from a fan, I would absolutely love the thing. I don't think I would display it. The Akamura has a lot of plushies, and we sort of have this plushie cage where there's we just have them all kind of piled up together with her 8 Foxies and such. And a Mochi plush would be kind of hucked in with that group without very much thought. I mean, I know the exciting answer is I'd set him on fire and then probably pee on him to put the flames out and then try to set him on fire again. However, if it comes from a fan, then it becomes a very precious gift or whatever, and I would try to treat it with some dignity and respect. Because I do like fan presents. If you do want to send me anything in the mail, you can check out the video description. My mail address, my actual mail address, is PyroFalkon, P.O. Box 12, Xenia, Ohio 45385. I don't check it as often as I should, but I also don't get very much mail there. So if you have gifts to send or whatever, you could send it there. But yes, I would treat it with some degree of dignity. If I bought a Mochi plush for I would never buy a Mochi plush for myself. What am I talking about? There's no if there. It's just never going to happen. But if I did ever stumble upon one for free from someone who didn't mean much to me, I'd probably set it on fire in the middle of my parking lot, record me doing so, and then put that shit on YouTube, because that would be hilarious. Burning a Mochi in effigy. Probably not the first one to do that on YouTube either. Anyway. Alright, the next question comes to us from Kalo again, who says, what's my favorite class to play in Final Fantasy XIV? My favorite class to play is probably Red Mage, because there's a little bit going on with it, and I don't have to just stand in one spot, but I still do enough damage that I feel like I'm doing something interesting. Because my main classes are Bard, which is now over macroed to the point where I just push 3 buttons and win, or White Mage, which is a whole heaping load of stress, as it is for all healers, especially when your tank decides to go and chase random pretty butterflies, pulling half the dungeon in the process. So, the Akamura just blew a raspberry at me, because she knows what her own habits are like. Anyway, so... but yeah, Red Mage is this mix of being able to hit hard and kind of run around and be engaging and have to look at multiple meters and such. So, yeah. I've said before, if Final Fantasy was real, or I was a Final Fantasy adventurer or something, I would be a Red Mage. Because then I would have some offensive power, but I could heal people. And I like helping people. It's a good time. Or I would be a White Mage in real life. I don't know. Because at least, like, as much as I want to heal people in real life, or help people in real life, I don't really like the sight of blood, so I could never be a real doctor or nurse. But at least if White Mages are a real life thing, you just wiggle your fingers and produce a light effect, and then people are healed. So I wouldn't have to see all the gore, and that would be good. And let's see. Next one comes to us from... well, Kalo asks if I still play Final Fantasy XIV, and the answer is yes. Oh, here we go. Mad Dog 187 says, sorry for the late post. What? Let's see. My question is this time is, what would your ideal video game have in it? Ooh, that's a fun question. That one is also very moody. I mean, I jump between games pretty frequently, depending on what I'm thinking. Ledge has one of our channel mods, Ledge, has recently introduced me to EVE Online, and it's really fun and extremely relaxing. it's great. Like, it's a great time, and I've been playing more Eve, even though I'm not doing a lot of the more serious stuff on Eve, because that would drive me insane. But, for a relaxing game, it's fine, but if I want something a bit more active or a bit more mindful, I would need to pick something else. What? Let's see. I don't think my preferences would be able to be included into a single game for that reason, because I am very moody. But, for example, I do like progression. I like building something up. It doesn't matter always what that something is, but I like feeling like I am building something. So in simulations, that can mean a business, or in The Sims, it's when I am able to afford better furniture or a bigger house. I'm building something up. For sports games, I enjoy building a team. Trying to think of it. So, one game that has added a bunch of things that I do like recently is Space Crew, because Space Crew is a roguelike, which I generally don't like. However, you're building up your people because you're raising their levels. You're building up your ship because you're spending research and money on the ship. You're building up territory, in a sense, because the overarching plot of the game is to fight back against the evil aliens. So, no matter what you're doing, you are building up your way to success, and there is an end game. You can play forever, but there is a point where you can reasonably say that you are done. So, Space Crew in a lot of ways ticks a lot of my boxes for that reason. But I do fall for games that have visual representations of it too, so I like games like Paradox's Crusader Kings 3, where building up my land, my territory, is a visually pleasing thing because I get to see the regions slowly get painted with my team colors as I squeeze the life out of my enemies, usually by murdering babies, because I'm not a very honorable Crusader Kings 3 player, but that's neither here nor there. Games where the progression is a bit slower is a bit more difficult for me. It's games like, say, Monster Rancher. There is definitely progression. We are building up our monsters to get stronger, and we do have the letter grades to indicate that they are getting stronger by going into new classes. But numbers and bars are not really that helpful when the scale of them is like this, where the scale goes from 1 to 999 in each of the stats. It's a little harder to really don't seems to be set up accuracy. Huh. Alright, never mind. Just keep them all. Yeah, don't worry about Pyrolore. Abandon it. It's a little harder to see your build-up in Monster Rancher and even Pokemon and so on. At least with, like, Pokemon, the levels happen faster nowadays. But even then, the build-up is more like your average level and your badges, I guess. I don't know. But that's a whole different game anyway. That's more of an RPG. So, the ideal game for me has progression, period. I can't stand roguelikes that have no progression whatsoever. I played Rogue Legacy, and I don't get along with that game because although there's technically progression in the sense that you build up your castle or whatever and your future generations get stronger, it's entirely possible and even common that you finish a run of Rogue Legacy and get nothing for it. I recently played Monster Train, which is a card game similar to Slay the Spire. That was a request from Judah for his Patreon pledge. And that one also has sort of a difficult build-up because you have to finish a run to really get much out of it. So, roguelikes are just not my thing because you don't see that progression in most of them. I did have a friend tell me to try out Hades, because that's a roguelike with obvious progression, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever play it. Anyway, but that is my damn it. Keep pulling up the wrong lady. That is my number one thing in games. I need to feel like I'm doing something or building something bigger. Just jumping in and running a few missions or whatever just isn't a thing for me anymore. It's actually why if it wasn't for Mario being in my history, I probably wouldn't play much of it nowadays, because there's nothing to build up in Mario. You just run through levels until you're done, and you're out of levels. Which is fine. It's just not where my head is at nowadays most of the time. But anyway, that's going to do it for today. We're probably, about halfway through the dungeon, and we've got some more AMA questions to go. Don't forget to submit your own AMA questions down below in the chat, the comments. I keep saying chat because I think I'm streaming, and I will answer them as best as I can in the order in which they were received. Thank you all very much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow for another episode.